So I've already started the sanding process for this 2009 Honda Accord. So we're sanding to get rid of surface rust, like multiple places here, and we have 80 grit all the way to 2000 grit, and it goes from step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then in which we start with 80 grit and go all the way to step 4, which is 2000 grit, and that's the polish. And then after we get rid of all the surface rust, we have to use some of this primer as a priming paint, and the last step is to use the matching white spray paint to redo the entire process. Okay, so I've used the stage 1 sandpaper, and this is already how it looks with just using the step 1, which is the 80 grit, and I've already gotten off most of the orange surface rust. Note that for something like this, it's only good for taking off surface rust, but anything more, if the rust is biting into the fenders or into the rockers, then you might need to weld on new sheet metal. But as of now, because this rust is at the bare surface, using something like the sandpaper and then going to finer sandpapers with primers and then the original color spray paint works just fine. Okay, so I've used all 4 stages of sandpaper, which were the step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. And now it turns out to be extremely smooth, and it's ready for the primer and the spray paint. And I'll show you around. There's some on the inside as well. And there's some on the inside in which I went through step 1 to step 4, and now it's extremely smooth. And now we are able to put on the primer and the spray paint to finalize our product. Okay, so the first step is that we have to apply the primer. And we have to make sure that it's thoroughly applied, covering all the necessary surfaces. Good, and then next step is our white spray paint. So after taking like 5 minutes to let the primer fully dry, then I took the steps to put on the white matching factory spray paint and spray paint it so that the rust spots are all mostly gone. So overall, what we can take away from this is, I'm not a professional spray painter for automobiles, but we can get this to look fairly similar to original factory color, and the main point is it'll protect from further surface rust development, which can cause even more rust into the rocker panels. Here is another example on the right side rear wheel in the wheel arch, in which I'm going to start first with step 1, roughest sandpaper, to step 2, 3, 4, and get the entire wheel arch polished get rid of all the surface rust, and then I'll do primer and sandpaper, and we can look at the before and after process. Okay, so this is just using the step 1 sandpaper, which is the roughest grit, 80 grit, for just like 5 minutes over the rear right wheel arch. And then I'm already getting off most of the rust. I'll continue at this for like a couple more minutes. But the point is, when you're doing this type of stuff, there's going to be a lot of dust, all this paint dust, and it's going to get in your eyes and your face. So make sure you're wearing safety goggles and you wear a mask. And when you spray it on, just do little sprays at a time of both the primer, and after the primer, waiting a few minutes, and then do little sprays of the spray paint, because after that you need to take time for it to dry out and then put on the spray paint for it to have the best looking effect. Sorry, I forgot to show you guys the process, but I already went to stage 1, 2, 3, 4, from the roughest to the smoothest grit of sandpaper, and I sprayed the primer on, and here it is. And I'm going to take at least 5 minutes for the primer to dry before I look at this again. Then I'll put on my final white paint, which is right here, the pearl white made for Hondas. And then after that, but at the moment, what I'm gonna do is scratch on the other surfaces and get the surface rust off for the left side of the vehicle. So here's the right side. This is what is done for now. And the best results are when you spray from around half a feet to 1 feet away. That way you're not spraying too close, just spray from a feet away, and then it'll be nice and consistent and won't be any bubbling. After the white spray paint, here's the finished product. I'm gonna say it doesn't look half bad actually. It looks pretty good. I just sprayed the white spray paint after waiting at least 5 minutes for the primer to dry, and then I sprayed the white spray paint from around half a feet to 1 feet away, doing little sprays at a time. And here it is.